This podcast is brought to you in part by P&P Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba. On this episode of the DeREZD podcast, episode 23, we got an awesome one for you. We're going to be talking lots of Nintendo, free games, because it's first of the month is coming up right away, Twitch, PAX, Saints Row, Titanfall, you name it. We're going to be talking about it on this episode of the DeREZD podcast. All right, everybody, and welcome to the DeREZD podcast, episode number 23, and my video is delayed again. This is horrible, Will. I don't know what the heck is happening here today, but we're just going to go with it. We'll go with it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. This is the DeREZD podcast, episode 23. Like I said, as always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me, as always, Will the Man Kelly. Will, how the heck are you today?
Doing fantastic, Lloyd. We are a little over a week left until the launch of Destiny, and so I am just like marking away on my calendar. Each day that goes by, each podcast we have is just counting it down. So I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's same here. I was looking at my PS4 on my downloads, just because Infamous First Light didn't download because I ran out of space, and it's like, oh my god, I'm out of space already again. So I'm cleaning stuff up, and I'm like, wait a second, I see Destiny on my list, and it's like, oh yeah, it's over a week away. So it's there, but it's not going to download for a few days, and that made me kind of happy, but also kind of sad at the same time.
So you got to make sure that you clear up that space well before then, so nothing happens, and you're ready to go at the strike of midnight-ish.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 days before, so it's going to pre-download. So I'll just be sitting there, and one day it'll just be there, and I'll have this ominous timer ticking away on it for the next 2 days. And then as soon as it hits 1 second, I will be on there, and I will be jumping in and playing for many, many hours. So I won't be getting much sleep that day, but that's okay. Who needs sleep anyway?
It's totally worth it.
Yeah. But anyway, we're having some technical difficulties today, so I do apologize to everybody that is watching the video live or watching on YouTube. Not sure what's happening. We got some things happening here, and it's making everything run really slow for my video. Already restarted my system once, and it didn't fix it, so we're just gonna go with it. The audio will be okay, but it'll be like you're watching a foreign movie that has a really bad dubbing on it, because my lips won't match up with what's the words that are coming out of my mouth. So apologize. We hope that it will clean up and fix itself as we go into the show. Anyway, let's jump right into it, Will.
Let's do it.
All right,
lots to talk about this week.
Oh, we do have lots to talk about. We'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com to do that. You can leave us a voicemail if you want, or you can just email us, vgpodcast@gmail.com, or call our voicemail line, which is area code 505-VG-PODCAST. Please do. We'd love to talk to you. Normally we kick it off with End of Line. We get right into things, and we start talking about the latest in gaming, the biggest story of the week. But Will, I have a bigger story to talk about this week.
You do, and it's not on the note sheet we got.
No,
you're throwing a curveball at me.
I am throwing a big curveball at you. Someone called the roommate just joined the room. I wonder if that's your friend downstairs coming to heckle you.
That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. No, I did something awesome this week. If you've been following me on Twitter or checking out the site, I finally got myself a Retron 5. So the Retron 5 is, we've talked about it a lot on the show, but I thought thought we talk a little bit about it right now. It's essentially it's a retro game system that plugs into your television via HDMI, and it has cartridge ports on it for Game Boy, Game Boy Advance. That's the same cartridge slot, so you can put either of those games in: Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance. It has a Famicom slot, which is the Japanese Nintendo Entertainment System. It has the Nintendo Entertainment System. It has Super Nintendo. It has Genesis, and then it has it has support for the Japanese versions of both the Genesis, which is the Mega Drive, and the Super Nintendo, which is the Super Famicom. And you basically pop a game in, and you're playing it. You're playing the cartridge on your television. It's really slick. It comes with a really lame kind of controller, which it's clicky and it's not that great. But the best part about it is it has cartridge ports on the side, or sorry, controller ports on the side. I keep saying cartridge ports. That's not right. It has controller ports on the side. It has Super Nintendo. One on each side, one for player 1, one for player 2. It has Nintendo and it has Genesis. So I've been playing games all week with my Super Nintendo controller. And the best part about it is you don't even have to use the right controller for the right system. So you can use Super Nintendo to play Nintendo games, which is good for old people like me who can't really use the old Nintendo controller because it's not ergonomic at all. And I can play all those games on my Super Nintendo controller. It is amazing. It is one of the best systems. So I thought I'd show you guys a little bit about it before we get into the show. I have Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt plugged in right now, and basically when you plug in a game, it sucks down the ROM from the cartridge, so it will automatically just download it and you're playing it. It doesn't play pirated games, so you can't download the ROMs from the internet and play any game you want. It needs physical cartridges, so which is good for me because I'm a collector and I'd rather play with the physical cartridges, even though they're basically just a really slow USB drive. Essentially, when you plug them in, it sucks down that game information, then it's running from the system. It's actually running Android, so it's it's an emulation of the system. It's not physical hardware, which is really great. So here's the
how long does it take to download those games?
Anywhere from no time at all. Like you put a Game Boy game in and it's downloaded instantaneously. Nintendo was pretty quick. I've plugged in some of the larger Game Boy Advance games or some of the larger Super Nintendo games, and they can take maybe 20 seconds to download. So it's not horrible.
So nothing.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but it's still a little bit slow, which isn't such a big deal. When you pop in a game, you can immediately start playing it just by hitting play, or you can do some really cool things in the game menu just by clicking on game menu. You can do cheats. So there's like Game Genie functionality built in, which is really great. If you have a game that has a save game on it, like say if you put in Legend of Zelda, you can copy the save from the cartridge to your Retron, or if you've been playing it on the Retron a lot, you can push that save game back up to the cartridge, so you can then use it as a physical backup or play it on a physical piece of hardware, which is really great. So I've been using cheats a little bit and playing around with that stuff. But other than that, I mean, it's basically just a way for you to get in there and play these old games. It allows you to do things like put in image filters. So if you've ever played emulators, you can do the SAI and Super Sci and all that other sort of video filters. I don't like those, but you can. You can turn on scan lines on or off, even at the main menu. So if I turn the scan lines off for the main menu, you see how the picture cleans up a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
But then I put the scan lines on, and it looks like you're playing on an old CRT television with the physical lines. I play it like that because it looks the most the most, I don't know, retro, and that's what I'm doing here. You can do all sorts of things, play with the audio, you can boost the audio. It has sound enhancement on by default, which basically takes the sound that's coming out and basically EQs it before it comes out of your speakers. So things sound a little bit off sometimes on some games, but other games, they sound perfect. The Retron controller is really cool. As a controller, it's terrible, but it has these little buttons on the corner which act as hotkeys. So if you're playing a game and you know you're potentially going to die, you hit. They're programmable, of course, but the way that I have it set up, I hit the left one and it saves instantly. It saves a memory dump as a save state. Cool. And then if I die, I can just go back and reload that save state without any problem. You can do screenshots from it. So if you're doing shows like I'm doing here, I can take instantaneous screenshots of whatever I'm playing and then download them to an SD card and put them on my computer. It is just one of the best systems I've ever owned, because it's more than one system in one. I've been playing Game Boy games with Game Boy Advance games. I actually went out today to some local guys and I picked up a 3-pack of Super Nintendo cartridges that I've always wanted to own. So I picked up Super Star Wars, which is a hell of a lot of fun. But then I also picked up Super The Empire Strikes Back, because snow, and also Super Return of the Jedi. So this weekend I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of really awesome old Nintendo cartridges on this system. So I'll start the game just so you can kind of see what it is. Unfortunately, the game capture device that I'm using to bring it to you right now has about a 3-second delay. So my video's delayed, and then there's a bigger delay on that as well. So it's delay upon delay upon delay. So yeah, it's not even going to be something that is even close to usable. But so I'll start Super Mario Brothers, and you'll hear the music, and it will be Super Mario.
And we will watch you die almost instantly.
Yeah, pretty much, because 3-second delay. So I'm going to hit the jump button. I'm going to hit the jump button now. And it didn't even jump. That's how much of a delay it is. So unfortunately, when I do live streaming of this, I'm going to do direct from my software, my capture software. So I won't have to worry about that. But yeah, when you're in the game, you can all do sorts of things like load and save and change your save game slot and all that fun stuff. It is awesome. I love everything about this, Will. This has made me such a happy gamer. I dug out all my old cartridges. I have a sizable collection of game cartridges from all the stuff. You can see some of the boxes behind me that I have all the original stuff. And yeah, I've been playing them. Games that didn't work, I went out and got security bits so I could actually go and take the cartridges apart and clean them. So I've cleaned like about a dozen games, and they work flawlessly now. And
that's awesome.
It's just, this is like the best time I've ever had as a gamer right now. I'm having so much fun playing with all these old games, and I basically have my whole weekend planned. I know exactly what games I'm going to be playing every day. I might even do some streaming. So if you guys are interested in seeing any of the retro stuff that's going to be happening, definitely subscribe to me on Twitch, or the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/VGPod. And there'll be some retro at some point in the near future. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So sorry, Will, I wanted to talk about this before we got into the meat of the show.
No, I'm glad you did. I love the fact that I'm looking at all these games in your background, and they're not just decorations. They're games that you are actually playing or soon will be playing.
Yeah.
And you must admit, I'm extremely jealous of you. So
that's what I'm here.
It's pretty cool.
That's what I'm here to do, Will, to make you jealous. That's
true. That's your purpose in life, is to play retro video games and make me jealous that you're playing retro video games.
Totally. And hey, look, watch. I'm going to clap. My video synced again. I don't know what happened. What's happening, Will? Why is this?
So it's your Retron 5.
It must be the Game Capture HD software must be slowing things down. So that's good to know for future reference. All right. Well, that's enough of me gloating about my super awesome retro game collection and game player. What do you say we? What's this? Oh, yeah. Traded Fast in the chat room saying the best part of the unboxing vid, which you should go watch. Head on over to my YouTube channel or vgpodcast.com and look at the unboxing. About 6 minutes in, I had a mini heart attack on the video, and the video kept rolling. And everybody that has a Retron knew it was going to happen. And stupid me didn't read the manual, so I didn't know it was going to happen. And yeah, if you want to see what happened, go definitely check out the video, because
it's totally worth it. I highly recommend everyone watching it just for that part alone, and then you get some fun stuff after that too. But
yeah, fun stuff. But anyway,
well, it's funny. I knew the video was like 20 minutes long or so, and that happened about maybe 6 or 7 minutes in, and I'm like, well, surely it's not going to be the next 14 minutes you just crying in the corner that your Retron 5 is
pretty much working. That's pretty much what it was. Well, maybe not actually, but yeah, it was. I was happy. Like I fully didn't open it first. It was a true unboxing. I grabbed it, took it downstairs, got it ready. My wife actually, I gave her my iPhone because I didn't have any other way to set up a camera quickly, and I just wanted to get this thing opened. I could have moved all my stuff and done it more professional, but I'm impatient, so I didn't do that. So I gave her my iPhone and said, here, just record a video. And she held the camera still for about 20 minutes. Like, her arms must have been aching. She is such a trooper. But we recorded my first gameplay of different games, the how it looked, all that stuff. I was really happy with the video that we put up. So do check it out on the VG Podcast website or on youtube.com/VGPod, and just look for the Retron 5 unboxing, because I think it was pretty funny at the one part that everybody seems to love. Will.
Yep.
They like pain. They like seeing other people upset. Yeah, Flaccid Arrow in the chat room says, "Amazing wife. You should marry her." Yeah. Oh wait.
Oh wait.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, cool. Well, let's jump right into the show the way that we always do.
End of line.
Let's talk about the biggest news item that happened this week in gaming, and we talked about a little bit about what we think is the biggest item, both Will and myself, but I think we both the roommate says she could hold a sniper rifle steady as well, so don't mess with her. Yeah, that's probably very true, so maybe I don't do that. Although I'm Canadian, so her access to sniper rifles is probably a lot less than some of my friends in the US. But yes, I do not want to mess with her. Yeah, so we talked about in the pre-show what we thought the biggest news item this week is. And we ended up with not one news item, but a collection of news items. And that is Nintendo just dropped multiple megaton bombs on us, basically showing us what they have in store. They have a new system in store. Here, I'll bring that up. They have a new 3DS. They have new games in store. They have new features in store. But yeah, definitely let's talk about the new system. So they announced a new 3DS today, and it's called quite simply, it's a really thoughtful name. They must have spent so much time figuring this out. It's called the new Nintendo 3DS. Which is the worst name ever, Nintendo. I thought the Wii U was bad. You just one-upped yourself, Nintendo. You just one-upped yourself. And if I had that sound ready, I would play it. I'll give them the trophy and an achievement for that, because that is the worst name you could possibly ever decide on for a new gaming system, the new 3DS. But anyway, this is the Japanese name.
Wasn't there another console that did something like this recently too? They just called it the new something.
Yeah, it was the Xbox 3 was called the Xbox One, so that's almost as dumb.
Yeah, maybe that.
The iPad came out with the new iPad.
That's it. That's what
Instead of the iPad 3 or iPad 4,
it
was the new iPad. Yeah, there's been a lot of boneheaded product name announcements lately, but I think this one's the worst. The best part is that's the name in Japan. Who knows what it's going to be called in North America? Because they called the 3DS the large one, or even the DSi the large one, instead of the XL that it is here in North America. They called it the LL. So maybe there's going to be a chance that it will be called something besides the new 3DS. But if not, let's talk a little bit about what it is. It's kind of this neat little system. So it goes back to kind of like the Super Nintendo color scheme for the buttons. So I like that. The Super Famicom color scheme, because we didn't have these color of buttons in North America. This is a Japanese thing. I really like that with the color buttons. So you can see it looks like a Super Famicom controller. But even better, it has this little thing up here. That's a second analog stick. So you're going to have an analog stick in the normal place. Then you're going to have this little mini analog nub above the keys, which is great because I wanted a second analog stick, but also it looks really awkward, and I don't know how comfortable it's going to be sliding your finger up super high and doing that. So I don't know.
Lloyd, have you ever tried to play a PC game with one of those mouse nubbies on an old school laptop?
Yeah, like an old ThinkPad with the cat tongue little red dot thing. Yeah, those were horrible.
Impossible.
but maybe this is like the circle pad. So maybe it's kind of like the slider similar to what a 3DS has right now, potentially. I hope. I'm holding out hope for it. But yeah, it's really weird. So normally you'd hold it like this, but now you're going to be holding it like this, and are you going to be doing like some weird crab pinch to kind of get your thumb up there? And besides that, it has a second set of shoulder buttons. So you have the normal shoulder buttons where I should have brought my 3DS down. I didn't think to do that. So you have your normal shoulder buttons, but they're smaller now, and then there's a second one further in. So you're going to be hitting that one, and you're going to have to be holding it, and ugh, it's just
okay, you got to live stream when you do that, when you start playing that new 3DS.
You're gonna have to go get surgery after using it for a while, because it just, the roommate arthritis in 3, 2, 1 exactly. It just looks so weird, yet I'm so intrigued, and I really want it. Here, I'll scroll down a little bit more and show you guys off some of the other things it does.
Is it stupid that the biggest... So I dig the nub. I mean, I guess I'd rather have that option than no option at all.
Sorry to interrupt. Jay Cargu says it's for your nose. You have to use your nose for the nub. You figured it out, Jay Cargu. That's exactly what that is. I'm so stupid.
But my thing, the worst part about this whole thing to me is the biggest reason I want it is the stupid colored buttons that match the old school Super Nintendo colored buttons.
Yeah, like I said,
that kind of grayish white.
I love the I love the Super Famicom buttons. I love that color scheme. I had an old I think it was a Maxis. It was either a Maxis or a Logitech controller for my PC way back in the day, and it was shaped like a Super Nintendo controller that that looked exactly like that. So I really kind of dig that look. You can see the little mini shoulder buttons on this screen. They're tiny, man. It's like, this is not even a full size button. Then you have this little mini. I don't know what is Nintendo Japan trying to tell you? Like, you have one regular size one and one small one. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't even want to pretend to know what they're trying to get at. But it's really bizarre. So anyway, they even have some other features on this one. So it's not just the design. It's not the extra analog stick. It's not the extra shoulder buttons. But apparently the 3D screen is changed as well. So on the current 3DS, you have to hold it exactly in front of you. If you move a little bit, it goes black, or you get black bars. I wear glasses, so when I have my 3DS XL, even if I have 3D on the highest, and have it centered perfectly so that it's like right where it should be, there's still just a little tiny black bar in the middle because of the way that my lenses are focusing on it. If I take my glasses off, that goes away, and then I get headaches for playing with that. They're not really strong lenses, but it's enough where I get a headache. So I was just like, oh, okay, I don't know what to do here. But apparently this new screen is better. They showed in the video a 3D image, and they basically had the thing kind of spinning back and forth. If that is real, I'm really stoked about it. Like they showed here. So here's the angle of view is that looks almost like a 45-degree angle to where the camera is, and you can still see the 3D effects there. The original one, they show that it would be blurry or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty. So basically, what it does is the new 3DS uses the camera. And it tracks the player's face so it can properly align the screen. So it's not a hardware thing; crazy. It's a software thing. How wicked is that? That's pretty really awesome. Cool. The other feature that it has, besides the awesome new screen potentially, is the fact that it supports the new Amiibo figures. So it has NFC built right into the bottom screen. So instead of the dongle that they showed off that you'd have to put on the back, and you'd put the thing on the dongle, and the IR port would transfer the information, it is now doing that. So I like that. I don't know how much of the Amiibo figures I'm going to use, but I find it kind of cool that that's there at least. Flaccid Arrow in the chat room is saying, what happens if you have friends watching you? That's a good question. How is it doing face tracking? Is it going to focus on your friend behind you, and then your screen goes all blank and crazy? That is a possibility.
Trey Too Fast is saying this stuff looks like a bunch of test stuff for their next handheld. And it's funny. Why do they keep iterating on the 3DS? And there's no doubt the system is amazing, but why do they keep band-aiding new stuff on it?
Well, there was an image that I saw this week, and it basically says that Nintendo's released a new Game Boy model pretty much every year.
Yeah.
They've updated or come out with a new model every year, and this was the only year where there really wasn't one. So everyone's like, "Oh, is Nintendo finally going to lose out and their streak's going to get busted?" And then they come out with this one, and that seems to be the Nintendo way, where they iterate, and then it's like, okay, we've done iterations, we've done 5. Let's come up with a new thing, and then they come out with the next new device. So I was hoping that there would be like the Game Boy 2 or something that is completely different. But this looks like a neat little thing. I don't know exactly how well it's going to do, because they're doing the similar thing that they did with the DSi, where as a developer you can make software that will only run on the new device. The new device is quicker, it has a faster CPU, it apparently has some other speed enhancement stuff inside of it that they're not really talking about yet. Maybe it has more RAM, who knows. But that's going to have a riff now. So you're going to be in the game store, you're going to be looking at 3DS cartridges, and it's going to be requires the new 3DS. It's like, oh, well, I just bought a new 3DS. This is perfect. That's where the name and the marketing is all going to be kind of weird. For the DSi, it was only downloadable titles that would only run on the DSi. Everything else, every cartridge would run in it and also run in the old ones. This is the first time where there's going to be a new cartridge. Is it going to be shaped different? It's going to have maybe a different key, so it won't go into the old systems potentially. I don't know. It's going to be a problem potentially, unless Nintendo figures out a way to either make the boxes look different, have a different way so you're not popping it into your 3DS and not working. Or maybe devs can do something smart where if they detect the new system, they enable all this other stuff. If not, it just runs in boring old 3DS mode.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not, I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? It's they're improving on a success, but like you, I do kind of wish maybe they would have just done something new instead of again just a iterative version of their current hardware, but it's changing enough things that there's cause for concern there.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. They also announced that the new 3DS is going to support. Oops, that's the wrong one. Is that the right one? Yeah, there you are. So the new 3DS is going to support. No, that's the right one. Sorry, in restarting my thing, I got a bunch of stuff screwed up. It's going to support faceplates, so you'll be able to remove the top and bottom little piece of plastic, and you'll be able to buy whatever you want. So if you want this little Nooklings one, you can do an Animal Crossing thing. You can get just a star pattern. There's probably going to be pre-order bonuses, so you'll buy some games and they'll come with the little plastic covers, so you can personalize and make it yours. I find that kind of odd because Nintendo in Japan particularly make so much money selling special edition 3DSs that people buy. They come out with like 3-4 every quarter, and I know people that buy every single one because they collect them. So now I guess maybe they'll do that anyway, and then they'll just have different faceplates that are only available with those models, maybe, and be super evil. What's the name of the manufacturer? It's like Nyko is one of them, but there's like Hori or whatever. They make a lot of protection products. They're probably going to come up with a whole series of these things with almost Nintendo characters on it and sell them as replacements. Just as like there's so much to this new device that I'm really quite interested to see what it is going to turn into and what it is actually going to be when it ships here in North America.
So you're a big fan of the 2DS, or not the 2DS, the 3DS and the 3DS XL. What do you think? If is it going to tick enough boxes for you to get a new one?
Yeah. I'll get one for sure. I love my Nintendo portables. The bonus for me is I have kids. My daughter has a 3DS. My son has my old DS Lite. So I can buy a new 3DS or whatever it's going to be called here. And it's like, hey, you can have my blue 3DS XL, so you can be just like your sister and have a nice new system. Win for everybody. And then I'll get the new system and do it that way. But we'll see. I don't know if I'll get it right at launch, but we'll see how awesome these additions are, because they look really good on paper, but is it really going to be enough that's going to force me to spend $180 to buy a new system? Or maybe it's going to be more because it's a new iteration. Maybe they'll go back to the 229 or whatever when it comes out here. It hasn't been announced for North America, so we don't know when it's coming out. But yeah, it's coming at some point, potentially.
Nice.
Unless they don't want to release it here for whatever reason because of confusing names or something. Yeah. Also baked into this announcement was there's going to be an update for the DS, or the 3DS rather, and the 2DS. That's going to give you theme support. So you'll be able to enable a bunch of different themes. So you can do Animal Crossing and Mario, and there's a nice Zelda one here, which changes your top screen and your bottom screen. Just makes it look prettier, makes it look modern, makes it look like something that you want to play with, not this white screen with all these little squares, like very Wii-like. I'm really excited to see what this is when this comes out sometime later this year. Hopefully it comes out in North America, even though we don't have the new console, but we'll see. And hopefully,
yeah, I mean, that's something that they can easily add to any of them.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Themes will be added as part of the system update in October, they say. And they'll be available for purchase from a theme shop that's coming to the system's home menus, and they haven't announced the pricing. So, yep, Nintendo's found DLC lately, man, and now this is going to be more DLC. I can't say that I'm angry about that. I think it's great. If there's a really awesome theme, I'll buy it and I'll love it, and that'll be that. And hopefully, game developers will be able to bake a theme into the cartridge. So you put the cartridge in your system, and it installs a theme that will that'll be loadable on your system. That would be really great too.
Yeah. I like themes. I like that level of customization that just kind of like adds a fresh coat of paint to your UI that you've stared at for hours and hours on end.
Yeah, totally. That's one thing that I'm missing from my PS4 that I loved on my PS3 was updating themes every couple months with like pre-order bonuses and other things like that. All right, cool. I think that's it for the Nintendo announcements. Unless you have anything else to wrap up with, Will.
No, I'm good.
No, you're good. All right, well, let's jump right into the news for this week. It's almost September, which means we've just been given the list of free games that we'll be getting from both PlayStation and Microsoft. So coming up this week in September for PlayStation, on the PS4, you're going to get Velocity 2X, which is an updated version of Velocity, which was this really interesting top-down shooter with kind of warping mechanics. This has like side-scrolling mechanics thrown into it as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, this looks by the name is so generic. I was like, another one of these. But then when I saw the combination of like the ship combat and then the side-scrolling, not platformer, but whatever you call it, it's kind of like this looks really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like a platformer, but it's more like it looks almost like Metroidvania sort of thing, where it looks like you're going to need skills to unlock different doors and stuff like that. Looks interesting.
Yeah,
definitely does. So that's going to be coming for PS4, and it's cross-play on your Vita if you have a Vita, which will be great. Also on the PS4 is Sports Friends, and that is it's basically a collection of a bunch of like local multiplayer games. So there's a fighting game called Bara Bari Ball. There's a pole vault game, Super Pole Riders. There's a high velocity sports game called Hakra, and a face-to-face physical party game, which you've probably heard of if you've been on the internet, called Johann Sebastian Joust, which is basically a game where you need Move controllers or controllers, and you basically hold them as still as you can, and you're supposed to push your friends, and if you push them and they move the controller, the light gets brighter, and as soon as it gets full maximum brightness, the game's over. So it's basically like this. It's almost like American Gladiators, but you're holding either a PlayStation Move controller, or I think in this one it's going to allow you to do with just the PlayStation 4 controller, because it has a light bar thing on it as well. That's
pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So that will be also playable on the PlayStation 3. So if you don't already own it on the PS3, and you get it for free on the PS4. You'll be able to download on the PS3 as well, which is great. For the PS3, they're giving you PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which came out maybe a year and a half ago. I played it. I enjoyed it. I was looking for the Smash Brothers kind of thing on PlayStation. It kind of is that and kind of not at the same time, but it's a pretty decent game. So you'll be getting that on PS3, and it's cross-play to your PS Vita if you have that as well. There's a game called Horde that will be coming to PS3, which is a top-down action arcade strategy title. You're a dragon and you need to scare and burn villages. Looks interesting. I've never heard of this before, so when I saw this, it's like, oh, I would never buy this, but for free, I will definitely check it out.
Right. The only appealing part to me, it looks like an old school RTS as far as graphics are concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not the gameplay, but the graphics look like that, and that's the only thing that's really appealing to me.
Totally. It reminds me of like a Rampart maybe or something like that. Like an old school game like that. It's pretty cool. And for the Vita, you're going to be getting Joe Danger. That's the motorcycle stunt kind of game. That's by the developers that are making that really awesome space sim, whose name I'm blanking on right now. The Endless,
the minor one.
The Endless Universe.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. There you go. My brain's not
That's
working.
the game, but who's the developer?
What's the name of the developer? Yeah, I can't. It's like oh geez, you're putting me on the spot here.
I'll look it up. You keep going.
Yeah, I chat room. Anybody can help us? No. So yeah, you're gonna get Hello Games. There you go. That's so hard. I don't know why I didn't know that. So you're going to get Joe Danger on your Vita. And there's also a TXK, which is basically the redone version of Tempest 2000 by the original developer Lamasoft. And it is a redone version of it. I bought this when it came out, and it's okay. I like the old school Tempest kind of game. And this is just like ridiculous. It's super psychedelic and it's just crazy, but it is definitely worth playing. So a pretty decent crop of games for the PlayStation Plus members this month. Nothing AAA though, so I'm surprised there wasn't like a really big AAA game. I guess the big AAA game this one is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. But that's been out for a while, and you can basically buy it in stores for $20. So I was hoping for something a little bit more, but we're getting close to the 1-year anniversary of the PS4, so maybe that will be when all the big megaton bombs are dropped.
Yeah, and that's been a criticism for both Xbox games and Games with Gold and PlayStation PSN Plus games is people keep asking for, give us a AAA title, no matter what it is. Even if it's a game like on the Xbox Forza, for example, pretty much everyone has that. People just want to see a AAA title to kind of, whet their appetite of hopefully future AAA titles that will come.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let's move on to the Xbox Games with Gold. So if you have an Xbox Live Gold membership, you're going to be getting 3 games this month in September. So Super Time Force will be available for the whole month. It's an Xbox One game, so you'll be able to play that on your Xbox One. And this is a game that I want to play. You basically you shoot and kill things, and then when you die, you respawn, and then what you did with your last character still plays out. And then you basically use that as problem solving. So maybe you need to open a door. So you open a door with one guy and die. And then you have to respawn as another guy and then quickly run in there and then jump over what killed you the last time and then do something else and then die. And then you do it again. It looks like a really interesting puzzle game.
Yeah, this is a game that I've been so excited about for a very long time, and I've actually just been kind of waiting for it to come out, hopefully on Games with Gold. And so I'm really stoked that's coming out because the idea, visually, it didn't really entice me that much when I first saw it, but then the more I heard about the actual gameplay sounds so interesting to me. I'm like, I can't wait for this. Monday needs to get here quickly so I can play this game. Yeah, exactly.
Also out for between the 1st and 15th on Xbox 360 is Monaco. What's Yours is Mine. That's the multiplayer thieving game where you're basically planning a heist in a top-down mode. I've always wanted to play it, and now it's available for free for the first half of the month. The second half of the month game for the 360 is Halo Reach, which it's kind of cool that they're giving an actual Halo game away. It's not the best of the Halo games, but it's still pretty fun. I had fun with Halo Reach, and that'll be available for the second half of the month as well. But that's it. I thought they were supposed to be giving away 2 Xbox One games and 2 Xbox 360 games, but it only looks like there's 1 Xbox One game this month.
No, Crimson Dragon is again free this month.
Okay.
So it's not a new game. It's one of the 2 games from last month. So they're not announcing it as new, but yeah, it's available this month too.
Okay, I didn't realize they were holding that one over for another month, but there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, some people are claiming cop out, but then others, there's always going to be 2 sides of that coin. It's like you're complaining about something free, or
people are always going to bitch and moan about stuff like that, but you just have to, you have to do it. Sometimes maybe you can't make the deals with the publishers to get that stuff there.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's move on. We've been talking about Twitch for forever, about how Google was going to buy them, and then no, Google's not going to buy them, and like, oh yeah, for sure Google's going to buy them. Well, Google didn't buy them. They were instead bought by Amazon, and that was shortly after we recorded the last episode. That all went down. So yeah, Twitch is now owned by Amazon. Will, why would Amazon want Twitch?
Well, I think our next slide item actually answers that question. It's because Twitch is so insanely popular, and most people think of Amazon as a place for you to go on the internet and buy stuff, but there's this entire other section that is online media. Amazon Prime, for example, or their music service, which I can't think of right now. This is a way for them to really get a foothold in the gaming space as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I fully think that that's part of it. I think the reason why Twitch bought it was so YouTube couldn't buy it, so Google wouldn't buy it. Amazon has their own products now that are based on Android, but you wouldn't know it if you use them. They have the Fire phone, they have the Amazon Fire tablet, and they basically are trying to make them their own thing. Even though it's running Android, it's not running any of the Google apps unless you install them or get into some of the back the back room. Sideload. Yeah, you sideload them. But I think they have to include the apps, so they're hidden somewhat, like the Gmail app and whatever. Either way, they're basically trying to take it to Google. While taking stuff from Google. So buying Twitch basically gives them a service that is being used by like hundreds of thousands of people a day, millions of people a day. And these are the demographic that they want. They want the young crowd that has money to spend, a lot of disposable income. Those are the type of people that use Twitch. That seems pretty attractive to a company that basically sells things for its only existence is selling things and selling devices at cost so that they can sell more stuff and make the profit that way.
Right.
So that's interesting. But I think there's some other things for it. They're starting their own game studio, so maybe they want to use that for their games. Maybe they want Twitch to be baked into everything they make. I know Twitch has an API, so if you're a game developer depending on what platform you're on, you can quickly and easily bake Twitch right into your game. Maybe that'll go away. Maybe Twitch for iOS games will go away. Maybe Twitch for Google Play games will go away, and it will be just stuff that is available on the Amazon Fire Store or whatever the heck their store is called these days.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. They've said multiple times that they're not going to change the way Twitch is doing things. That's BS, because when you buy a company for $1 billion, you want to make value from that $1 billion. So if I don't know, having Twitch not stream to iOS platforms would make Amazon more money, they would make that change immediately. Not saying that is going to happen, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think this is the second scariest option that we could have conceived. The first scariest being Google/YouTube.
I think the first scariest would have been Microsoft buying it.
Oh, that's your opinion. I don't think so, but
really, you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's. I don't think Microsoft is preventing Skype on the PlayStation 4.
I think,
as an example,
I think they fully are.
You do?
I think they're not willing to write a Skype client on the PlayStation 4. I think if they wrote one, Sony would let it on because that would give value to their customers. I don't think Microsoft will do it because that's their ace in the hole.
I don't know though. It's on the Mac.
Yeah, but
and I know it's
a PC. It's also on the iPhone because the Windows Phone doesn't have any market share. If the Windows Phone had a 50% market share and someone was scraping at their market share, you know that they would not release Skype for that other device saying, hey, if you want to use Skype, it's here. They did that with Microsoft Office forever. It's like, oh yeah, Microsoft Office, it's not on your iPad. You got to buy our Surface tablet. And then they didn't sell Surface. So finally it's like, hey, we have this new app coming out called Microsoft Office and it will be coming out right away. Microsoft would do that. Guaranteed they would do that.
Yeah.
For Skype anyway. For Twitch, who knows? But for me, when the rumors were coming out who was buying them and Microsoft's name came out, I was like, oh no, that is bad news. If one of the major players in the gaming industry, I'm only saying Microsoft because they were rumored to buy it. It would be equally as bad if Sony bought it or Nintendo even. If any of the players in the game industry would buy it, that would be bad for the entire game industry.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, it is such a competitive environment, and to have a monopoly on pretty much not the only, but the biggest game streaming, that would be bad because I think whatever side bought that would use it for their own nefarious means.
Yeah, they would use it for evil.
To hurt.
They definitely would use it for evil. That's what business is, man. It's all about making as much money as possible. And if you can get people to buy your stuff, you're making more money than if you get people to not buy your stuff. So that would be terrible. If Microsoft really bought Twitch, that would have been the beginning of the end for the service. So I'm really glad that not a neutral third party bought it, but someone that has a lot of money and hopefully won't screw it up too bad.
Well, my concern with Amazon over Google is that Google makes a lot of their money on content and content alone. Amazon makes a lot of their money in lots of different areas that I could see hurting what is Twitch and how Twitch is presented. Yeah. Exactly like what you said. If they implement it as a exclusive thing for their gaming house, I don't think they would ever go that drastic. But what if they had certain features that only they can use, where everyone else only gets these other features? So
yeah, I have to disagree with one point there. Google doesn't make their money from content; they make their money from ads. 90% of their revenue comes from ads. Where Amazon, on the other hand, all of their money comes from content, like whether it's physical content that they're shipping 2-day air to your house, or whether it's movies that they're selling on their store. They don't make any money from hardware that they manufacture themselves. They make all their money from the content that you're buying from them, whether it's physical goods or digital content. So for that reason, Twitch makes more sense to Amazon than it does than for Google, because Google would then slap a whole bunch of ads all over Twitch. There's already ads, like pre-roll ads on Twitch, but you'd have ads all the time on Twitch if Google jumped on it, right? I mean, they both have evil things that they can do to the service. For me, I think it's good because that means that Google now is going to focus on game as a content for YouTube. They'll increase the service that they're offering already with the Google Hangouts or Hangouts Live on Air. Maybe they'll make something that is fully away from Google Plus to make it good for everybody. And that would be awesome if I could just open up Wirecast and stream to my Google channel without going through a whole bunch of hoops that I have to go through now. That would be great. If it was instantaneous, not this weird 35-second delay that seems to happen sometimes, that would be awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has all of that functionality currently, but it not nearly the same quality. And I don't mean the actual display quality, but like you said, 35-second delay, or sometimes the stream itself just isn't as high resolution, or takes up too much bandwidth to get that resolution across. So yeah, maybe that will help that competition a little bit, because for a long time we had Ustream, and that was kind of
Yeah.
pretty big Twitch competitor, but that's kind of, and even it sounded like, or Sony actually does court Ustream a little bit more than Twitch, or at least they have in the early days of the PS4.
Yeah, kind of. They definitely had Ustream first on the list of streaming services. I think that's a little bit less now. Sony used to do all of their live streams on Ustream. Now all their live streams they've been doing lately are on Twitch.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I mean, I think that's just that's the point is that Twitch has completely taken over the space, and Amazon and Google, there's a lot of parity, I think, and this could be a good dogfight, I think.
Yeah, the thing that is really the kind of the big picture of this whole thing is Amazon is doing everything they can right now to take on Google where Google lives. They're coming out with their own phones that don't use Google services. They're coming out with their own tablets that don't use Google services. Besides that, they're starting their own display ads. So you have Google AdSense. Amazon's coming up with their own display ads market to take away ad revenue from Google. They're now doing Twitch, where that was kind of a no-brainer for Google because they're the video people. Now they're taking that away and potential ad revenue streams. So this is, for me, someone that is like deep into the whole tech industry and follows everything that happens in the tech industry pretty closely. This is an interesting shot across the bow from Amazon. All the other ones were just kind of warning shots, but this one is like scripting some paint as it flies across the bow. It's like, hey, no, we're coming to you, and we're gonna take this space over, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, like I said, hopefully what this does is it makes Google Game or whatever. They already have Play, so I would say that would make a lot of sense, but maybe it'll be Google Gaming. And now it's going to be this really great service that is exactly like Twitch, but it's going to be on the Google servers, and it's going to use all the current YouTube channels that you have.
Except it's going to require G+, and that's just going to take it into the gutter.
Get away from G+, please, Google. Just don't. Just go.
Yeah.
It's funny. So this is interesting, very, very interesting, and the fact that Twitch is commanding the numbers that they are in prime time is probably scary to a lot of people. It's probably scary to Google because they have YouTube, but it's probably even more scary to network television because people aren't watching their TVs if they're watching people stream games on Twitch at 7 p.m. at night. They're not watching whatever version of Law and Order is currently on the air. They're watching people play League of Legends and Dota and all that stuff, or the DeREZD podcast on twitch.tv/VGPod, all that stuff. So yeah, very interesting stuff that's happening in the industry. Well,
yep. Exciting. Be really excited to see what happens with this, kind of like the fallout with things kind of settle with Twitch and that whole not takeover, but once it's under Amazon's wing, to see what the changes that are gonna happen there. I mean, hopefully not too much, at least initially, and then from that point, hopefully it'll just be improvements. But big changes like this, you always gotta be a little bit cautious and be prepared for anything.
Exactly. All right, cool. Well, let's move on. Let's get into the next story. PAX is going on right now, and it's interesting. They took PAX as the place to make two pretty big announcements for the Saints Row game genre. No, series. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry about that. I'm reading the chat room and trying to talk. It's not working right now. So they announced a new game. It's called Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, which is the best name for a game because of Johnny Gat in the game, and there he is. But it's basically it's a downloadable content, but it's standalone. It's probably going to be cheaper. In fact, it is. It's going to be $20. It's going to be on the PS3, PS4, Windows 360, and Xbox One. It's coming in January of 2015, and it's an expansion, but not an expansion. It will be standalone from what I understand. And it's basically your characters are all in hell, and you have to fight your way to get out of hell, which is interesting. Hell will be but half the size of the Sealport, which was the kind of the world that you're in Saints Row 4. So it's going to be sizable, but not as big as the current game. So interesting, kind of an interesting release. There's a picture of Johnny Gat with angel wings, and he looks like a fallen angel. His wings are on fire and stuff. Really curious to see kind of what happens in this one. I did enjoy Saints Row 4.
I really dig this new trend of coming out with expansion DLC that is also standalone. So if you're just being introduced to the series, it gives you an option to check it out while not necessarily having to have the full game. This is a perfect example for me. I've never played a Saints Row. I hear Saints Row, the latest one, that's 4, I think, was really, really good. I just never got around to playing it. And so what this means for me is sorry, go ahead.
I said that now you'll be able to get a taste for almost no money.
Which will probably lead me to buy in the remastered edition.
Yeah, exactly. That was the next thing that they announced was they're calling it Re-Elected. So Saints Row 4 Re-Elected will be coming out only on PS4 and Xbox One because it's an HD remaster. It'll also be coming out in January, and it's only going to be $30. So you get the remastered version, the Re-Elected version of Saints Row 4 for $30. Then you get the other expansion for $20. So for $50, you're getting the full game and a huge DLC package. So pretty interesting. So basically, what's going to happen is because there's a whole bunch of DLC that's in Saints Row 4, you'll be able to basically buy just the package, the Re-Elected version, and you'll get all of the main DLC that came from Saints Row 4. But if you pay $50, you get everything. So you're going to get all the DLC, you're going to get everything else, you're going to get Gat Out of Hell, you're going to get the Re-Elected game. So the whole package for $50, which is pretty much the same price as buying it all separately. So I don't know why that was touted as this huge thing that they're doing. But yeah, anyway.
Well, Re-Elected, is it $20?
No, it's $30.
So you're saving $10 then, because each version it looks like is $30.
Oh, really? I thought the Gat Out of Hell was only $20. Gat Out of Hell will retail. Right. Yeah. Oh wait, no, it is going to be. Oh no, it is $20 for everything. I thought maybe the next gen stuff was going to be $10 more expensive, which is the theme that they do. But yeah, anyway, it looks interesting. Some stuff that they're doing with the Re-Elected version is they're putting in voice commands. So if you say pretty much any swear, it will do something in the game. So that fits with the theme of Saints Row.
That's awesome. And I yell at my TV. I normally yell obscenities at my Kinect. Now it's actually going to do something.
It is going to do something. It already does. Like if you're playing, is it FIFA or is it NBA? One of them. If you're swearing out loud while you're playing a game, you'll start getting penalties for doing that because they hear that.
FIFA.
Was it FIFA? Yeah, I think so. It's hilarious. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of new stuff being added, and Saints Row 4 was a lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to the re-release. I want to see what it looks like on the next-gen consoles.
That'd be really cool.
All right, cool. Moving on. Titanfall, man. What's the best part about Titanfall, Will?
Titans.
The Titans.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. It's what you do. It's the best part of the game. So there's a new update coming to Titanfall. It'll be coming very soon. It's going to be an 8v8 deathmatch mode, which is great because you're fighting 8 on 8 versus 8 instead of 6 versus 6 plus AI bots. This is awesome. The only difference is there's no Titans. It's just
no Titans or AI bots. This is only
it's
players.
Just straight pilot versus pilot deathmatch. Really weird. I don't really get this, man. I'm not. It's called Pilot Skirmish, so it totally makes sense. It's basically like the promotional images that they showed about this, the video rather, basically just has your pilot running around and wall running and using your jetpack. So it looks just like the new Call of Duty that's going to be coming out, with all the crazy modern weapons and jetpacks and bodysuits and things. I don't really get this. The best part of Titanfall is the Titans, and now you make a new game mode, spend time developing it, and that takes the Titans out of the game. It's just really odd to me.
Well, here's the way I look at it is it doesn't bother me because I don't really feel like it hurts anyone. I really think they're kind of on the tail end of the support on new content for this game.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some people may want to play this, so give it to them.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't hurt me. I'm not going to play it that often, but
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that when they were launching the game, they were very adamant about the 6v6 number with the AI, the Titans, and they explicitly said, no, we're not coming out with a pilot on pilot only mode, and it just took 6 months for that to happen. So
yeah. The thing that really kind of makes me sort of twist my head a little bit in kind of confusion is they use development resources that could have been used to come up with a new gameplay mode for the Titans, the first word in the compound word that is the name of your game. You would think that they would be spending time doing that, not doing stuff like this. So I don't know. It's interesting anyway. Not super exciting to me, but maybe there's some people that really just wanted pilot on pilot action, and now they can do that with this update.
Yep. It is what it is.
You don't sound exciting, and that's what updates to games normally make you do. Well, they make you get excited. Right. So that's probably the wrong thing. That they didn't really want that.
Yeah, but I mean, was the want there? I mean, would they have just come up with this idea on their own? I don't know. That's why I'm like, someone must have wanted it for them to have done that. But
I know, right? I don't know.
The people I play with,
it's bizarre.
They're like, what? Really? So
bizarre.
Yeah.
So bizarre. Anyway, let's move on. We got a couple game announcements, some really interesting ones for PlayStation. Peggle 2, the game that was touted as the big Xbox One exclusive, now is not exclusive, so it was a timed exclusive, which makes sense. That'll be coming out soon-ish. I'm trying to open the story, but it's not loading right now. October 14th is the release date for that, so you'll be able to get that on your PS4, and you'll basically get the all of the stuff that came out on the Xbox so far. So that'll be available on day one for you on your PS4, which is good. I like Peggle. I love the first one. I played a lot of it on Steam. I'm not sure if I'm going to want to pick this one up because I kind of watched some videos of it being played on the Xbox One, and it was like, oh yeah, that's Peggle, and it just doesn't really excite me anymore. So we'll see if it comes out. I mean, I was all super high on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, and that recently shipped on PS4, and I haven't picked it up because I've seen it all. I've watched people play it. It's not new and exciting to me. So maybe that'll be the same thing for me with Peggle, but we'll see. Only time will tell on that one.
Which isn't that an interesting negative side effect of timed exclusives?
Totally.
It's like, okay, well, you're not only hurting those current consumers that would have bought your product, but you're hurting those future consumers that were planning to buy it, and then it gets to the point where it's like, well, that's old news.
Yeah.
That came out 3 months ago on the Xbox,
totally,
or a year ago on the PlayStation 4 in the form of Destiny DLC.
Yeah, like turn on your console, whether it's a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One or a 360 or a PS3, and bring up your friends list and look what people are playing. And either 80 or 90% of people are all playing the newest, latest, best. That's the cycle of the console. And now you're releasing a game that isn't the newest, latest, best, and you're hoping people will buy it. Who knows? Maybe this will tell developers that timed exclusives maybe aren't the way to go in the future, that it's going to hurt them in the long run, but we'll see. Only time will tell, right?
All
right. We also got another game announcement for PlayStation, both the PS4, the PS3, and the Vita, and that is Metal Slug 3 will be coming, which I'm a huge fan of the Metal Slug series, and Metal Slug 3 is great, and this makes me super, super happy. So it's going to be just an emulated version of the Neo Geo console version, and yeah, it's going to have online features apparently and some other stuff. This will be coming out in the new year, I believe. So yeah, Metal Slug 3 coming. Cool. Are you a Metal Slug fan, Will?
It's always been one of those games that's interested me. I've just never played it. I mean, I picked it up here and there and spent 10 minutes on it each time, so I can't really comment. But
right.
I think it's cool. I know it's hugely popular, and there's a lot of classic love out there for it. So, and it's kind of cool that this is an emulation of one of the older ones with new features, and it's not like a remake. I think that's going to interest longtime fans more, right?
I mean,
I would assume.
I'm the guy that just bought a Retron and play these things. That makes me happy. And I never owned a Neo Geo. That's the one console I've always wanted. But you pretty much had to either you'd have to be like a sports person making millions of dollars a year to afford it. It was so expensive when it first came out. And that's one that I've never bought.
And the 3DO, right?
Yeah, and the 3DO, which is $800 or something ridiculous. Maybe it wasn't that expensive. I think it was $600 way back in the day. But yeah, it's just they were so expensive, and I never bought them because they were way too expensive. But yeah, I love me some Neo Geo, so that'll be a lot of fun to play on my PS4. All right, let's move on. EA had a really interesting news article come out this week. They were talking to Bloomberg Business Week, and a spokesman from EA said that the content in sports titles has been a huge or a major contributor in their increase in revenue. And basically what they said is this year, 2014, EA expects to surpass $1 billion in revenue from DLC. So in 2014, EA is going to sell you games, and then they're also going to be selling $1 billion worth of downloadable content for these games. The reason why some of this is happening is every sports title now has a super addicting buy virtual cards and play the card mode, and your cards expire, so you have to keep buying packs if you want to compete. That's in pretty much every sports game now. I don't like those versions or those things in the games. I didn't play them in NHL or FIFA or Madden, and I will never, but they are huge. People I was watching a Twitch channel where a guy dropped $100 in FIFA and opened them live on the air. It took 20 minutes to open $100 worth of packs, and then he went on and played that mode. And it's just like, well, why would you spend $100 on virtual items for a game you've already bought and paid $60 for? It's just so bizarre to me. But Electronic Arts is going to be making $1 billion this year. They say in particular revenue from Madden NFL is already up 350% from last year. Ridiculous.
See, that's what this pisses me off, because this isn't DLC. This is free-to-play mechanics and full-priced games. It's like totally. I'm not buying or spending $20 on an expansion pack that is giving me new content 6 months after the fact. Yeah. I'm literally unlocking items that exist in my physical game, and it's infuriating. And you're right, it's not going away anytime soon, because even non-sports games are doing it. Plants vs. Zombies, another EA title, is doing it. There's these virtual card packs, and although I dig the idea of collecting these virtual card packs and kind of having that virtual act of it being a blind bag and you opening it up and seeing what's in there, it doesn't mean I want to pay real stinking money for it. I want to pay virtual money for it.
Totally. Back in the day, I used to have a co-host here, Jeff Ward, and he was very opinionated. And he hated DLC. He hated spending money. He was really, really cheap on things like that. And then we were talking about Xbox One, and we were talking about the release of Forza, and how basically you could spend what was it, like $600 or $1,200 or whatever to get all the stuff. You could play the game. They made it harder to earn money so that it would take you longer to get all the cars you wanted, or you could just buy these car packs, and it was like multiple $100s. And I went on that, and I was just like, this is the stupidest thing. And he's like, I don't see what's the problem with that. I'm like, what? What do you mean? You're Mr. DLC. You hate that stuff. Why are you supporting it? And he's like, I think it's perfectly fine. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. And I'm just like, what? It was just the most confusing conversation that I ever had with him. And I basically came at it as you're buying a game for $60. All the content is on the disc. It's not downloadable content. And cars that you could unlock say 15 cars in an hour playing the old game. Now you can unlock one car in that same amount of time. So all of the cars that you wanted to play are locked behind this virtual paywall, this freemium paywall, and you paid $60 for it. And I was just like, I was flabbergasted and so confused. But to me, that was my biggest worry with this new generation of games, because I saw it happen on the iPad. Like, I do Touch of Gaming, which is an iOS show. And I saw games go from $10 to 99 cents to free with downloadable content. And every game that comes out now, except for the very small percentage of games released every week, they're freemium, and you play them and you get to a paywall, or there's cooldown timers. You can't play the game that you want to play unless you spend money. And it's just like these really, really evil psychological triggers that like companies like what was the name of the company that hired a bunch of psychiatrists and psychologists to work for them? It was
the one on Facebook. It was Farmville.
Yeah.
The really, really bad.
Zynga did that.
Zynga.
They had a whole group of people that were basically, their purpose was to figure out what your physical and psychological triggers are so that they could exploit them in their video games. And that was coming to other video games, like Angry Birds was getting that type of stuff, and like the whole Rovio stuff. And it was just like, oh my God, this is the worst. This industry is gonna basically just die. It's gonna be horrible. This is the worst thing ever. And it looks like maybe that's not happening. So that's great. I'm super happy. But then you still have like egregious things inside of games like Forza, which has thankfully been patched out. Then you see stuff like this in EA where they're selling you just like throwaway digital items for big bucks, and it's just like, wow. I guess there's people that have a lot of money and all they like is that one game and they want to keep spending it. It's interesting.
Yeah, and kind of on that point is I totally don't mind it if it's reasonable unlocks. I mean, if your expectation on unlocking those items is what you're used to and familiar with in previous games, that's okay with me, because it does give the player that may not have the time to play as much as I do, or they're just impatient. They can, not in a competitive space, because I think that's when it gets really muddy. But say Forza, for example, it's like this guy doesn't have time to play. He can buy the cars he wants and actually pay money. But if the time I spent playing Forza 4 to unlock those same cars is about what it takes in Forza 5, I'm totally fine with that, because that's, again, giving everyone their own options. But the way EA's doing it and the way Forza launched is just, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, the whole... Yeah, we're selling you the game for the same price, but we're making it harder to get stuff unless you give us more money. I was just like, wow, that is the biggest slap in the face to your loyal customers that I've ever seen. And to a lesser extent, these card games that are baked into these sports games, it's just like, wow, you're basically turning the games into gambling. And like, you should just run a casino already and do it that way. But I guess it's working. They're making $1 billion this year, which is ridiculous.
Yep. Someone's buying it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. We've been wondering what has happened to the Kinect. Was it dead? Is Microsoft burying it in some desert in New Mexico, like the ET cartridges, so that they could then start a company to do a documentary on the digging up of that and then close down that part of their studio in the future? Is this like history repeating itself? Turns out no. There is going to be a standalone Kinect. It's going to be $150, and it's going to be available in October, basically for the release of Dance Central Spotlight, which is going to be an inclusion in this package. So if you buy the standalone, you get the game for free. Otherwise, it costs you $10 if you already have a Kinect on your Xbox One. So yeah, there you go. $150, $50 more than if you buy the Xbox One that comes with it. So if the Kinect is really important to you, you can cheap out now and then get it in the future when your favorite game comes out. Or you can save $50 by buying the Xbox bundle that comes with the Kinect right now. No
Nothing
comments,
to
Will.
say.
Nothing to say. It's the Kinect,
No,
right?
not really. I mean, I think most people expected it to be more expensive, which
I thought it was going to be $179. I thought it was going to be almost double what the savings was, but yeah, that's pretty good. $150. That's kind of an okay price.
Yeah, it's funny though. I was sincerely looking. I don't know, when you and I started doing some live streams with PS4 and Xbox One, and I was considering purchasing a version 2 off of eBay, and you could have found them easily for $60 back then when they weren't sold.
Right.
Without their Xboxes weren't sold without them. People were just like unplugging them and just throwing them up on eBay.
Yeah.
Or before they announced they were coming out. So missed the boat on that one, but I decided I didn't need another one.
That'd have been the smart thing to do. That's something I should have done. I never even thought of that. That would have made the most sense for me.
Yeah, I just wanted one to like have in my office so I could just like buy an extra power brick and have that upstairs and just throw the console upstairs with this setup. But
that would have worked for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, well let's move on. This was almost our end of line for today, the biggest news item, and that is all the crazy stuff that's been happening in the video game industry with DDoS attacks, and you had the Lizard crew or whatever taking down PlayStation and then going after Twitch and Blizzard. And then now PlayStation's back up, and apparently all the DDoSing is over. There's just been some crazy stuff. Apparently the FBI is investigating the attack right now because PlayStation was pretty much unusable for the better part of a day. PlayStation Network, rather, was unusable for the better part of a day. And then even when it was down, you could play single player games, maybe some consoles that had to basically go back on and check their licenses. That server was down as well, so there was people that bought stuff that were then locked out of that stuff, and that is a really douchey thing for someone to do. Not cool at all.
Yeah, I mean, the same group, it went above and beyond the DDoS attacks. Also threatened the president of Sony Online Entertainment, who was on a plane, and threatened his plane, and the plane was diverted. And it's just like, I just don't understand this. Well, I do understand. It's called the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's like the worst form of trolling, but it's just, we've had 3 weeks, and most of which we haven't even talked about on the show because it's kind of one of those things where you don't really want to perpetuate it, but we've had just 3 weeks of really bad video game news.
Yeah, and, like death threats on people, and misogyny, and physical threats made against certain people because they post their video. There was doxing of a couple different people. Phil Fish left the industry again because all of his personal information was hacked and put up on the server, including like bank information and personal emails. And apparently the details of the contract that he had with Sony for releasing Fez for free on the PlayStation Plus Gold or PlayStation Plus free games, like all that stuff, just because he was supporting someone that is a feminist and was releasing videos. He put his support for it. 4chan got really pissed with that, doxed him, doxed her, and it's just like, what is happening? Like, why does anybody feel that this is okay on the internet? And yeah, like you said, it's been a couple weeks of just like depressing news after depressing news, and then this, like the Lizard Squad or whatever, DDoSing PlayStation just for the lulz is what they said. And it's just like, really? Like you're impacting a company financially, which maybe you don't care about, but you're impacting like millions of people that are using this thing. Right. It's a horrible thing to do. And basically the only reason why they were doing it is because Sony should have had better security. It's like, well, you don't have to take advantage of it. Like, why don't you talk to them and maybe get a job with them, and you could be their network security person. It's just weird.
And I don't buy that. I mean, that's not why they did it. They
did it because they could.
Right. But you know what? This does raise an interesting thought, and it doesn't matter if it was on the PlayStation or Xbox. We're kind of at this point where both consoles, they work offline, but it kind of sounds like you need the consoles to be in a certain state prior to going offline or never going online.
They phone home periodically. I think PlayStation every 10 days it has to phone home to authorize all of your keys essentially for all the products that you have digitally. And I think Xbox is 14 days. I think I'd have to go and check that to see what that is on the Xbox.
But we're still in this kind of in the middle of physical / digital. But the more we get on that sort of digital line, if that does in fact happen, the more stuff like this is a concern. It's like, is this going to become more appealing to people as more people purchase digital items on their consoles? I mean,
No.
it's unacceptable, and not on Sony's like. It's not unacceptable from Sony, but as a consumer, it's unacceptable for something you purchase to not work as intended, regardless of things outside of your control in the environment. And so I think that, I don't know. It's just a concern for me. Again, it doesn't matter Sony or PlayStation. I hope that going digital doesn't make this more appealing for trolls.
Yeah, like if
I'm trying to say,
if they DDoS the PlayStation Network right around the Destiny launch, I will be so incredibly angry that I'm not able to play the game that I bought digitally. It's just terrible. Hopefully Sony gets this figured out and they find a way to block this stuff from happening, because Microsoft was attacked as well and nothing went down because they have cloud servers. They have the Microsoft Azure cloud that a lot of their stuff is running on. So they were prepared for that. They just let a server get bombarded and just fire up a couple other ones that handle these requests. Hopefully Sony doesn't rely on the one login server. And apparently the way that they found this, like I read an article about how this was done, because they were posting news about how it was all done. Like Lizard Squad wasn't the original person to figure this out. It was someone else, but then they started the DDoS because of this. It was like this weird story. But basically this one guy got on the PlayStation Network with a hacked console running custom firmware, and for some reason that wasn't blocked by the PS4, and then he was able to do a memory dump and figure out the IPs for all the servers that are being used for communication. Figured it out. It's like, okay, this is the IP for the main login server that every request goes through, and then DDoS happened because that one IP was released that way. So if there wasn't custom firmwares, they probably would never have found that, but they were able to run a custom firmware and get the PlayStation 3 running on that network, figure out the login servers are. Taking down that login server is the same login server for everything, because everything goes through the same thing, whether you're on the PS3, PS4, or the Vita. And it's just like, wow. I thought Sony learned their lesson with the network breaches. Apparently not. There's some pretty basic network security that's not happening there, but whatever the reason for them not doing that, just the fact that you're exploiting it to bring it down and ruin the lives or the days of the people that have bought this stuff is just terrible. Terrible.
I mean, you are hurting the company, but you're really hurting the consumer.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Anyway,
whatever.
That's enough. There's just so much hate in the industry right now. I don't even want to talk about it. Whether it's all the feminist stuff that's happening or the shaming of different developers for things that they may or may not have done, posting personal information about people and really private images of people, and it's been such a poisonous industry lately, or a poisonous hobby, because not the whole industry isn't like that, but there's been a lot of poisonous things happening, and it's been really tough to see this stuff happening and know that it's probably not going to stop, because that's the mentality of some of the people that are also part of this big industry.
There is such a thing as bad. You know what's this? The old adage. It's any news is, or no. What is it? Oh, I can't think of it. But it's like, or bad press is press.
Yeah.
Or so, you know, it's not necessarily
bad
the case. I don't want
publicity.
I don't want CNN picking up a video game story and it being something horrible like the last couple weeks have been.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's move on past that. We don't really want to dwell on the ugly. We talk about video games, which are fun. So let's get into the fun. Will, what have you been playing lately on your consoles of choice?
Well, one last thing on the last note before we move on. yet another reason for you to have a retro console that doesn't need to be online. You
Right?
can play it no matter what.
My copy of Super Star Wars still works whether whether JVC is up or down, because they're permanently down. They don't make games anymore, and I can still play this bad boy. So yeah, maybe retro is really the way.
You need a game genie to hack that. Oh wait, it's built in.
Yeah,
you can get all the lulls on your own console.
totally.
All right, so what I've been playing, a whole lot of nothing still, Lloyd. I was telling you a story. It's kind of sucked because my only like window for me to buy a new PSN game, and I was actually gonna text you to see if I should get Hotline Miami or Counter Spy, which we talked about in last week's show.
Mm-hmm.
I jumped online, and that's actually how I found out about the PSN stuff. And then I got too busy the rest of the week, and so I did not get to buy and play a new game. So I've just been playing some oldies, been playing Titanfall with some buddies of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Still enjoying it. I like getting. It's fun jumping into games and seeing what all the improvements are, and I think I talked about that last week, so I'll let that die right there. The other game I picked up this week that I haven't played in a couple weeks is Plants vs. Zombies again, and that game is just a fun game. I don't play multiplayer games by myself. It's all about the social piece for me. But this is one game that is only online, and it's just so silly and stupid. You can play it by yourself, and I just plug in my headset, put it on mute, so I don't have to talk to anyone or hear anyone hear me through my Kinect. It's just fun. I was like playing today. I had Netflix snapped, and I was watching a cartoon while I was shooting plants with my little zombie paintball gun, and
Nice.
it's a great one. When it goes on sale, I know you're busy playing other games right now, but when it goes on sale, you definitely should pick it up because the art style alone is worth playing that game. So
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to do that.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Just those two games. Again, buying my time.
Yeah.
What about you?
Very, very soon. I've been playing. Well, we talked about it at the start of the show. I might as well talk about it again. I've been playing the heck out of my Retron 5. I've been playing all sorts of games, including games that I've owned for a while. Like I have a box, a complete in box version of a game called Vice City Doom, which I never played before. I owned it for probably the last 15 years. I got it in a video store, went out of sale, and they were blowing out all their old games, and they had a whole bunch of NES games in box, and I bought a bunch of them, and I've never played it before. So I finally got my Retron 5 and plugged it in and put this game in, and it's one of my favorite NES games of all time. It's like,
that's awesome.
It's such a great game. It has driving, it has side-scrolling beat-em-ups, it has like forward-facing shooters, like you're using a light gun, but you're using the controller to do it. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is awesome. I've had this game forever, and I never played it because I don't hook up my old consoles to CRTs anymore. Yeah, it's great. Besides that, I've been playing lots of stuff, playing a lot of my old Game Boy games, my Game Boy Advance games on the Retron, playing Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, nice. Playing a lot of Super Mario World with the kids and having them kind of squeal with glee when something new happens, and it's just like, holy crap, that made me happy when I was a kid, and now it's making them happy. Nintendo,
that's crazy.
Nintendo has it. They know what they're doing. If you can go on a game 15 years after the fact, and it still makes you squeal with glee as a new player coming in and playing it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just Retron, man. I'm loving the hell out of this thing. Loving it. So I won't talk anymore about it because I'm making people in the chat room jealous. Trade Too Fast is angry at me right now. He says Lloyd is gushing like a new bride. Yes, I am gushing like I'm a newly married man, we'll say. But love it. I also picked up Infamous First Light. I actually forgot that this was coming out. Except I pre-ordered it, so automatically downloaded, and was like, oh yeah, this came out. Look at my PS4, and sure enough, it was there to play. And I loved Infamous Second Son. This was the this was kind of like the downloadable content, but it's not really DLC. It's a standalone thing. And you basically take on the role of Fetch, who is one of the characters from the game Second Son. She was a character you meet that has the neon powers. So you're playing as her, and you're learning her story. So you're finding out where she came from, why she is the way she was. 'Cause she has some mental instability, we'll say, and you figure out why that all happens. And I picked it up and played it, and then I had to do some shows. I think I recorded Inside Infinity with you, Will. And then I was like, okay, well, we're done that show. I'm going to just play a little bit of it. Next thing I know, it's 3 a.m. It's like, oh, I have to be up in 3 hours. Maybe I should put this game down. But I beat the single player story in about 6 hours, I guess, including all the collectible items in the main game. Something else that they've added here is, well, you're using the neon powers, but they're upgraded to what you had access to as Delsin in Second Son, because you're the original conduit. Delsin just sucked some of your power out and was using that. So there's things that you could never do before. So it's fun exploring some of that stuff. But besides the single player mode or single player campaign mission stuff, there's a battle arena mode where you basically are competing against endless waves of characters, and you're either saving hostages or just shooting people, depending on the mission that you pick. And most of the trophies are all tied to that, so you have to get 500,000 points on one of those missions to unlock a trophy, and I think there's 6 of those trophies. I've gotten one of them. So I've gotten every other trophy in the game for the most part, except for the stupid score 500,000 and get the diamond medal on these things. So that is going to keep me playing for a while, because
nice.
I want me the platinum, and there is a platinum in this game, and I'll be playing a lot of it. It's actually really fun. And if you own Second Son, when you unlock one of these battle arenas, and after you played it for the first time, you can then play it again as Delsin, and you can use all of his powers. So you can use his smoke, or his neon, or his video, or all the concrete, all the stuff that you have access to in the main game in these same battle arenas, which is kind of interesting as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's and I believe it takes your upgrades that you've done in the game. So if you haven't unlocked a skill, you won't be able to use it while you're playing it. So it's kind of they're marrying those two games together a little bit, which is kind of a neat little thing that they did. And besides First Light, I've been playing a fair bit of Counter Spy. I pretty much beat it. Like I got to the last mission and was having problems, so I restarted again, because that's that thing. If you die, you can either continue or don't, and if you don't, you start at the start, but all your skills and stuff are unlocked. So I'm still going by and unlocking stuff. I'm playing a little bit on my Vita, because it is cross play, cross buy, I guess is what that's called. So I'm playing on my Vita and then transferring some of my stuff to my PS4. It is a great game, Will. I think you should buy both. We were talking about what game you should buy, that or what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was. Hotline Miami. You should buy both, because they're both really good games. Hotline Miami is a lot of fun, but Counter Spy is just so good. From the design aspect to the gameplay, it is a really, really good title. So enjoying playing that slowly, and sharing gameplay across my PS4 and my Vita.
Nice. Yeah. Again, I really want a Vita, just because you get so much value out of it, especially if you have a PS4.
Yeah.
But even if you look at this month's PS Plus games, you're getting the most games on Vita, because a lot of them are crossplays with PS4 or just Vita.
Yeah, I love my Vita. Like, quite honestly, I really, really do love it. I hate that there isn't more Vita titles coming out. There are independent titles, which I'm not slagging at all, but they're cross-play ones. So I could play it on my PS4. I don't really want to play it on my Vita most of the time if I can already play it on my PS4, right? I wish there was some new, meaty, full of calorie Vita titles coming out, like some of the ones that they were like teasing, like there was supposed to be a BioShock Infinite game coming out for the Vita that never surfaced. I really hope that the Vita is not dead. I have a feeling that it is. I think Sony's going to see it as an add-on to the PS4 only, which is fine. It is perfectly good as that. It's remote play is awesome, cross play is awesome, but I hope for the day when some new games come out for the Vita. The problem with the Vita, it has less of an install base than the Wii U.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's the problem right now. No one wants to spend the development money creating a big meaty title for it because 4 million people own one or 5 million people own one instead of like PS4 that it's already sold 10 million. So it's been out for like 9-10 months and it has sold more than a system that's been out for 2 years. I just don't think Vita is going to be around much longer as a gaming system. It's going to be around for a while as a peripheral to your PlayStation 4, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you land on, I guess, right? All right, man.
Yep.
I think that's going to about do it. It was a long one. An hour and a half. We've been doing hour shows for the last little while. Now we're 50% more content for you guys. We love you so much that we're giving you half as much stuff for the same low price because we're awesome that way.
It's true. Last week we were like, could barely fit in an hour with the amount of stuff we had to talk about. And this week we're like, we're making up for it.
Yeah, and there's probably another dozen stories that I could have easily included, but didn't because I knew it was going to be a long show to begin with. All right. Cool. I think our stream just died, so if people are watching, it might be on or off. I'm going to stop the stream and restart it, but that doesn't matter. You guys are listening to the audio or video podcast version, so you don't need the stream to be up. We love hearing from you guys. Let us know what you think of the show. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and tell us how we're doing. Either email us through the contact us button or click leave us a voicemail. And you can do that. That would be great. Otherwise, you can call our voicemail line at area code 505 VG Podcasts or email us directly, vgpodcasts@gmail.com. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Thanks again for joining me, man.
I had a lot of fun. It was a good show.
It was a lot of fun. There's some great games coming out. I mean, we're going to have Destiny. Even though you stabbed me in the back with your Hunter knife throw, that's okay. We'll get past that. But we got some Destiny to talk about. We got Disney Infinity coming out. We do DisneyInfinity.tv. So there's going to be a lot of Disney Infinity news. We'll talk a little bit of it here, but if you want to hear more of that, definitely head on over to DisneyInfinity.tv and check out all the stuff that we do over there. There's going to be craziness and bedlam for the next couple months, Will, and it's going to be awesome. And then I'll also be playing stuff on my Super Nintendo, which is just as good.
Jerk.
All right, everybody, take it easy. We'll talk to you in about a week's time. And thanks for tuning in to yet another version or another episode. We don't release new versions. We release new episodes. I got to get that straight of the DeREZD podcast. Later, everybody.